the Ottawa School of Art has connections with the Ottawa Art Gallery, the National Gallery, the Parliamentary Art Collection. And so as director, I get to meet all different kinds of people from the art world, from beginner to professional. It's very exciting. I love creating art, and I'm a painter and a drawer, and I love building an image, and I also like expressing myself. Well, I don't think I have a choice. I think art for me was a calling, and so I express myself through my art, often subconsciously, and I just create art. I think if I didn't create art, I would be an unhappy person.
Hello, and welcome to the OSA Fine Arts Diploma Podcast, recorded at the Ottawa School of Art. My name is Adrian Gor, and I'm the Diploma Coordinator of the Fine Arts Diploma Program at OSA. Today, I'm joined by Andrew Fay, Director of the Ottawa School of Art, practicing artist, and former coordinator of the Fine Arts Diploma Program. Thank you for joining me today, Andrew.
It's my pleasure to be here.
To start, could you briefly introduce yourself and talk about your connection to OSA?
My name is Andrew Fay, and I started teaching at Ottawa School of Art in the year 2000. I taught different classes and then more general classes. Then I began teaching painting in the Fine Arts Diploma Program. In 2013, I became the coordinator of the Fine Arts Diploma Program, and in 2023 became the director of the school.
What first brought you to OSA?
I was a practicing artist, and an instructor reached out to me to take over her courses. She was going to move to Montreal, and so I took over her painting class.
And what do you enjoy most about working at OSA?
I think it's a great environment, and there's all kinds of different things going on. It's a real meeting place of professional artists, people just learning, people who want to learn deeply about art, as well as people who have a more idea of just enjoying art for fun as a hobby. But there are very serious artists here, and then it brings you into all kinds of art scenes. So the Ottawa School of Art has connections with the Ottawa Art Gallery, the National Gallery, the Parliamentary Art Collection. And so as director, I get to meet all different kinds of people from the art world, from beginner to professional. It's very exciting.
And how would you describe the atmosphere of the school to someone who has never visited?
It is a very welcoming atmosphere. We work on that. Of course, it's artist temperament, so that's always in play. But from what I gather from the students and staff who work here, they really find it's a very friendly and welcoming community, and it is just a great place for creativity.
And what makes OSA different from other art schools in Canada?
I think it's because we cover a lot of bases at the school. So we have our diploma program, which is post-secondary program. So it's a very serious course of study. We have fun courses that people like to take that are less serious, and we also have children's and teens courses as well. So we really have a variety, and everybody's welcome. We meet everyone where they are at, which is very interesting for an art school. And I think people are allowed to grow at their own pace, which is interesting. So people have time to grow as an artist or grow creatively without being ordered around and marched around.
So with regards to, more specifically to the diploma program, what do you think students gain most from the diploma program?
I think they get a really deep understanding of what art is and what art can be. The other good thing about our program is the classes are small. I've heard of other schools where they'll have, 20, 25 people in a painting class, and I don't see how you would get the personal attention that you need as a student to grow as a painter. Whereas our classes, maybe at their most full, are going to be 14 and 15, usually are about 12. Now, for the art history or some of the theory classes, we might have larger classes, but for the creative ones, they're quite small classes, and I think that's really important. Also, all the instructors are working artists. They all have their own art practices, so it's you're studying with someone who is an artist, who is doing it, and I think that makes a big difference as well.
It's worth mentioning that in printmaking classes, for instance, we have a limit of 10 maximum, or even ceramics as well, while painting, drawing, it can go up to 15. So that would be the maximum capacity of our classes here.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with the studio and equipment that we have for ceramics. Is even when it comes down to how much we can fire at one time, so we have a good workflow for people taking those courses, similar with printmaking. So it's exciting, and then people get to know each other as well, and you get to grow as a community of artists.
What changes do you often see in students from first year to graduation?
I think when people start, the students have an assumption of what art is and what they should be doing, and when they work through things and start to gain a greater understanding of the materials, then you see it changing. Then you see that their outlook of what art is broadening, and in the best sense as well. Sometimes this frightens people because they have an idea of what art is, and then that's questioned, or that they have to go a little bit deeper, or can be quite startling for some students. But for the most part, the way our course is laid out, that we have it built in that there will be that uncertainty, and so you move forward. You move forward with knowing your materials and talking about art, having a community that talks about art. So it works itself out quite well.
The community component is quite important. That's what I also, in my conversation with students, I always tell them that we mostly start art making as a way to express ourselves individually, but when you are in an art school, you are kind of exposed to a wider community. So this is like important to mention that the community is important for the art school environment.
Definitely.
What advice would you give to students entering the program for the first time?
I think just be open and work hard. I think, again, sometimes it's a surprise to students, and that it is a lot of work. And, especially in drawing, people's arms ache the first couple of weeks till you've built up your muscles to draw and create art. And to also enjoy it, For professional artists, yes, art is a very serious thing, but it's also a very enjoyable thing, and it's a very joyful thing. Even when you're making art about something that's difficult, or even on the difficult days when making art is hard, but it's a wonderful thing to be involved in.
And what do you think are some of the biggest challenges young artists face today?
I think you've got a lot more critics, I guess, now because of social media and things. So, and there's an expectation, again, on social media, that you should be meeting certain benchmarks and moving forward. That, I think, is a bit of a pressure. And again, if people put their work online and let's say they get some harsh criticisms, that can really knock people down, and knock them down too soon as well. Other than that, I think it's a great time to be a young artist. It's very democratic now. A lot of young artists start their businesses and career online, and so you bypass galleries and bypass potential gatekeepers.
One thing that students definitely get used to being in this Fine Arts Diploma Program at Ottawa School of Art is to receive criticism during critique time. At the end of each painting class or drawing class, students are expected to show their major projects, and the entire classroom engages with the instructor in constructive criticism. So this is the one of the challenges that we could say about is to receive criticism in a constructive way.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I remember when I was in art school,
Yeah.
it was harrowing, and it didn't really need to be. Now that I'm on the other side as an instructor and director of the school, it's good to have criticism, and it's good to listen to criticism. And I remember when I was a student, I was so defensive. I would complete my work, and then I would look at it and figure, okay, what are they going to get me on? And I would build this whole defense instead of just taking my work and listening and being open to what was being said about it, which would improve my art. So yes, definitely that can be something that can be a little bit unnerving for students. But again, it is constructive criticism, and if you listen to it, your art is going to get better.
Talking about your art, alongside being a director, you are also a practicing artist. How do you balance both roles?
It seems to be going okay. I have a full-time job as director, and it's very busy. I've been doing this for 3 years. I found that it's got in the way of creating art sometimes, but not all the time. And so I'm pretty well making the same amount of artwork that I did when I wasn't director. It's interesting because I'm older and I'm getting close to an age that I can retire. So I can actually look back and think, because a lot of times when you're an artist, it can be feast or famine. Sometimes things are good and sometimes they're challenging, and like with every decision, you make sacrifices. And so I've often wondered, in my 30s and 40s, I'm in my 60s now, is this worth it? Because I loved art and I loved making art, but there are hardships that sometimes come with it. Having worked a full-time job now, this is the first full-time job I've had as director of the school, I know that it was worth it, and the sacrifices were worth it. I was able to make art through every period of my life, from my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and into my 60s. I know a lot of people who work 9-to-5 jobs and they retire and then they become artists. And that's a great thing. I'm glad that they do. But I would have loved to hear their artistic voice in a serious way when they were in their 30s or 40s, and all their sort of things they had to express throughout their life.
I'm actually curious, what keeps you motivated in being an artist?
I love creating art. I love building I'm a painter and a drawer, and I love building an image, and I also like expressing myself. Well, I don't think I have a choice. I think art for me was a calling, and so I express myself through my art, often subconsciously, and I just create art. I think if I didn't create art, I would be an unhappy person or not a fulfilled person.
Right. And does working at an art school influences your own artwork?
Yes, probably, but I couldn't put my finger on how.
What are you currently working on in your studio practice?
I'm doing a lot of work on paper, and normally when I'm doing work on paper, it's because it's busy for me and a busy time running the school. And so I can come home, my drawing or my paper for watercolors is set up, and I can do a few hours when I get home. And so I'm working on watercolor paintings right now.
I assume currently preparing for the instructors show in September.
I will have a small painting in the instructors show, yeah.
Fantastic. Why do you think art remains important today?
I think it's a reflection on the human condition, and it goes deeper in explaining the human condition. I would say even more than photography or film. All these things are important, but the actual creation of something by hand is really important to me. And I think it's, even in a digital age, I think it's still very important for people to see something that has been made by hand and constructed and built. And I think that will remain important.
What excites you about the future of OSA?
Oh, it just becomes more of a meeting place and more of a community, and we're getting very organized in digitally and getting our story out there. For instance, this podcast is something that's wonderful, and I know that the school is a great place, and again, it's just getting the word out about Ottawa School of Art.
Are there projects or ideas you hope to develop at the school in the future?
I think that we do have to enter the digital age, and we do have digital courses, but it's how we keep that sense of creativity and that getting your hands dirty feel to things. Now, maybe that's not important. Maybe that's important to somebody who's in their 60s and maybe not so important to somebody in their 20s. But just to sort of grow with how communications are happening and how people communicate with each other, and that we keep that as we move forward. Because, I mean, I'm used to doing that through paints and drawing material. Young people today are used to building things digitally on the computer. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops and how we set things up so it can develop at the school in a way that is interesting.
Yeah, I like what you said, that keep your hands dirty, especially in the age of AI and what's happening with the digital world. What would you like students and the public to know about OSA?
I think it's a great school. There's a great community. It's not a cold institution. It's not a bureaucratic institution. It was sort of almost built as a cooperative in a way, and we still sort of have that grassroots feel to it, even though we're getting quite large now, so we have to act accordingly and make sure that we have the infrastructure in place to run a bigger school. But just that it really is a community for anyone who is interested in the arts.
What gives you hope when you think about the next generation of artists?
There's just that people still are interested in making art and making original art and channeling their thoughts and their obsessions and their preoccupations into art, and that people continue to do so and are drawn to do so.
Thank you again, Andrew, for joining me today and sharing thoughts about the Ottawa School of Art, the Diploma Program, and your artistic practice. You have been listening to the OSA Fine Arts Diploma Podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Andrew.